Welcome to the stream. Let me know if the sound is okay. Also, of course, let me know if you have any questions ahead of the next deadline. Remember that the deadline is a bit later than usual tomorrow. It's a 15 deadline. So we have a bit more time to tinker tomorrow. My team is pretty set. Already made 2 transfers. Sold Kirkis and I sold Kai Havertz, even though he did pretty well midweek, and actually he scored in game week 22 as well, but I really wanted to bring in more Liverpool players for their double game week in double game week 23, so Kai Havertz to Gakpo and Kirkis to Trent is my moves this game week. Might actually regret selling Kai Havertz the more I think about it. Sound is fine. Hopefully Salah will be fine. Thanks for joining in, FPL FOMO. Salah will be fine too. Yeah, I will probably go Salah. Might as well go and switch the captaincy to Salah myself. I actually haven't captained Salah since game week 18, but I think that in game week 23 it's time actually to give Salah the armband. I know that he played 90 minutes on Tuesday, but I can't really see Mo Salah being rested at the moment, so he'll probably start against Ipswich at home and will probably do well in that fixture. So at the moment, Mo Salah is my captain. I'm kind of tempted by Alexander Isak, but I'm bench boosting this week. What could possibly go wrong? So it's like using the bench boost. So if your team is well set up for using it, I think that there's no reason to not play it. I think that having the freedom to just ignore your bench for the rest of the season probably will prove to be an advantage. So which 4 players do you have on your bench that you would normally bench? I know that when a lot plays their bench boost, they like put some of their best players on the bench, but if you had to choose your 4 players that most probably would be on your bench if you didn't use the bench boost? Salah, he is on 100% so far. All the votes on Mo Salah for captaincy next game week. I'll quickly show you some stats from the last 4 game weeks. What kind of makes me a bit tempted to go Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak, he is up against Southampton, and when we look at their stats, it's can't get much worse than this, to be honest. They have kept 0 clean sheets, conceded 13 goals, 25 big chances conceded, and that's a lot. 32 shots on target and 11.80 expected goals conceded. So horrible defensive stats for Southampton, and I don't really see this changing after game week 23. So definitely think that Isak is a decent captain option for the next game week. But when we consider his performances recently, we know that he blanked in game week 22. He scored in game week 20 and 21, but I think that the goal in game week 20, that was the goal where he hardly touched the ball. A bit lucky with that one. And in game week 21, he was lucky as well. So he had a dribble where he was a bit lucky to get the ball, and the shot and the goal was deflected as well. So don't really think that Isak has been that great in the last 3 game weeks. And this was the reason why I went for Cole Palmer captain last game week as well. I was so looking forward to the game on Monday, but at least Cole Palmer started. There was a lot of rumors about Cole Palmer not being able to start because of his injury against Bournemouth, but he started. I was really excited, but what a disappointment from Cole Palmer. Chelsea won, but no involvement from Cole Palmer, and they did not keep a clean sheet. And in that match, I had Sanchez and Cole Palmer captain. So this is Alexander Isak and his opponent Southampton. When we take a look at Mo Salah, he is playing against Ipswich. They have actually kept 1 clean sheet in their last 4 game weeks, conceded 10 goals. Of course, that's not great in 4 games to concede 10 goals, 11 big chances, 22 shots on target, and they have an expected goals conceded of 8.06. So a bit better, of course, when we compare Ipswich's defensive stats to Southampton. But I think that Mo Salah probably is the better option this game week, even though he played 90 minutes on Tuesday. I just have this gut feeling that Mo Salah will do well. He is chasing records this season and has done so well. Can't really see him blanking for back-to-back game weeks. So at the moment, Mo Salah is my captain. I know that he is also the safest and probably some would say the most boring option, but in my defense, I have actually not captained Mo Salah since game week 18. I've gone for the likes of... Actually, I had Jared Bowen and Cole Palmer, Alexander Isak. but for game week 23 I might go back to Salah. So Salah, he will probably be my captain in double game week 24 as well. So, but I don't think that having a plan to captain Mo Salah the next game week is enough to not captain him this game week. So Mo Salah, he is the bookie's favorites to when it comes to anytime goal scorer as well. He actually has 62% chance of scoring a goal in that Ipswich game, and 62 is actually quite high. Can't remember last time a player got 62. The next on the list is Alexander Isak. Excuse me, the next on list is actually Darwin Nunez, and third is Alexander Isak. Darwin Nunez, if he starts, he probably will score against Ipswich. Just have that feeling as well. So if you want to take a punt, then Darwin probably is a decent option, but I like Gakpo better because he has a better chance of starting. So my transfer this game week was actually to sell Kai Havertz to bring in Gakpo, and the 0.4 million saved by going for Gakpo instead of Havertz actually allowed me to do Kirkis to Trent. So triple Liverpool for their favorable fixture against Ipswich, and that sets me well up for the double game week 24 as well. My future plan is actually to sell Masraoui. Preferably I would have sold Masraoui instead of Kirkis, but that would not allow me to bring in Trent. At the moment I only have 0.1 in the bank, so Masraoui is priced at 4.4, isn't he? So that will not have been enough for me to bring in Trent. But as mentioned, my planned transfer, I'm not sure if I will do that transfer ahead of the game week 23 deadline. I might wait until after the next deadline, but I will probably sell Masraoui to bring in Mykolenko. Next game week, I think that there will be a lot of price rises for Liverpool assets, to be honest. After the deadline, when we're able to pick our teams again and set our best teams for a double game with 24, there will be a lot of managers that realize that, oh, Liverpool, they have a double game week, and it looks so nice on the pick team screen when you have two fixtures under the player. So I think that there will be a lot of transfers in for Liverpool players next game week as well. Next week I actually will be gone. I have to travel with work, so I will be gone all week. Will not be able to record my usual team selection video, so I've actually pre-recorded my team selection video for double game week 24. Recorded it yesterday and started editing it, so I will actually release my game week 24 team selection video after the deadline tomorrow. So if you find the time, please go watch it, and of course I would really appreciate if you go watch my game week 23 team selection video as well. I also have a video about blanks and doubles and chip strategy as well, so all watch time hours are really appreciated. But let me know if you have any questions. As mentioned, my team is pretty set. 2 transfers done already. Captaincy, it's like 60-40, I think, for me at the moment when it comes to captaincy. Mo Salah will probably be my captain. FPL FOMO, he mentioned it as well. Salah will be fine, so hopefully that's true. The most transferred in player this game week is Clifford from Bournemouth. It's not that surprising. Of course, he did really well in game week 22, scoring 3 goals. He is actually a good fantasy asset when we consider that he will probably start most games going forward, and he is on penalties. Fixtures not the best for the next couple of game weeks. So if you need a new midfielder, I would probably wait a couple of game weeks before considering Kluivert, but this is how it works. When a player does well like Kluivert at that price, scoring a hat-trick, a lot of managers will bring him in. I'm thinking maybe Isak only gets 70 minutes this week if Newcastle are winning comfortably. Yeah, I actually think that the same goes for Mo Salah. Don't you agree? Considering that he played 90 minutes in the Champions League on Tuesday. I probably think you're right about when it comes to Isak as well. He has been carrying a couple of injuries recently. He was a doubt ahead of game week 21. So there is probably a slight minutes risk on both of them. Mo Salah at home against Ipswich. Yeah, Mo Salah, he will be my captain. So I think it was in game week 19 or 20, some game weeks ago. Mo Salah, he actually was around 200% owned when we consider effective ownership. That was like really high, but I think that in game week 22 it was only like 140. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Salah captaincy has actually gone down in the last couple of game weeks. I think that it was like 160 in game week 21 and then 140 something in game week 22. Will probably be a bit higher, to be honest, next game week, considering the fixture playing against Ipswich. I think that, and of course rightly so, that a lot of active managers avoided the Salah captaincy last game week because of the fixture. Forest, they have been really solid recently, so it made sense to captain someone else last game week. Jackson is one of the most transferred out players ahead of game week 23. Close to 400,000 managers have sold Nicholas Jackson. I think actually that there will be some goals in that fixture. Pep said on the press conference today that they really were struggling with injuries in defense, so I think that Chelsea will get some chances. I'm definitely starting Cole Palmer next game week. I've seen that a lot of managers have lost patience with Cole Palmer. Probably some of them captained him last game week and got kind of frustrated, like I did, but don't think that Cole Palmer necessarily is a sell at the moment. But he has been playing with an injury. I think that we could see last game week in their match against Wolves that he was not playing freely, something with his ankle. He took a knock actually to his ankle a couple of times, went down, but he got up and actually played with like 82, 83 minutes, something like that. So well done by Cole Palmer. But of course, especially the ones who captain him would, of course, have wanted some attacking returns. So FPL FOMO, well done on winning your game in the head-to-head league. 6 points. So there are 3 teams on 6 points so far and 3 teams on 3 points. No big differences. So far, hopefully I can win my match this game week. Let's have a look who I'm up against. For game week 23, I will play against Get the Butcher Strikes. Really interesting fixture that. FPL FOMO, you will play against, can you believe it, George Jones. He is the leader of the Classic League. Done really well last 4 game weeks. I had a rubbish week, 43 points, not good. What was the average last game week? The average was actually 46. I only got 39 points, so that's even more rubbish. So last game weeks actually started pretty good for my team. I had SA and Kai Havertz scoring points, 6 for SA and 7 for Kai Havertz, but after this, most went downhill. I had blanks from Joe Pedro, Alexander Isak, Gordon. Lewis Hall, he got 4 points. Not the best. He got an assist, of course. Just talked about the Sanchez and Cole Palmer blanks on Monday against Wolves. Gabriel, 1 point from him as well, so not a good game week. .49 was my safety score. I think, yeah, on live FPL I had something like that as well. Probably a bit lower since you have a better rank than me. Still ranked 1.5 million, really frustrating. Can't really seem to have that one really good game week this season. Of course, if Cole Palmer scored a couple of goals on Monday, that would change, of course. That would be like 30 points and probably a big green arrow, but the blank resulted in big fat red. Actually, it was 51. 51 and then scoring 43, of course, is disappointment. So at my rank, the safety score was 47, so a bit lower due to the worst rank, but hopefully we can get some of that back in game week 23. I actually believe that my team looks good for next game week. I'm a bit worried that Kai Havertz actually will do something. He scored in game week 22. He did really well midweek in the Champions League as well. Decent fixture against Wolves, but I've sold him. I might regret selling Kirkis now that he has a couple of tough fixtures in the next couple of game weeks, so he would be on my bench. But at the same time, he also has good fixtures from game week 26 as well. So I might regret selling Kirkis later on, but I just needed to bring in Trent for the Ipswich fixture and the double game week. I think that not owning a Liverpool defender could prove to be a big threat to the rank. Let's see. The ownership is really, really close to 30% for Trent. When I made the graphics for my last team selection video, he was owned by 26%, but at the moment he is owned by 29.8%. So Trent's ownership is definitely growing, and of course this is because of the good fixture against Ipswich and the double game week in double game week 24. But I think that the fact that he scored 11 points in game week 22 probably is the biggest factor, as we can see with Kluivert being the most transferred in player. Hopefully triple Newcastle can do much better this game. We have the same 3 players. Yeah, it was really disappointing, and this was the first match as well, wasn't it? A really bad start to the game week. Actually, when it comes to Alexander Isak, I wasn't that disappointed that he blanked, because his effective ownership reached over 100%. So every point he scored would actually have hurt my rank. But only for 4 points from Lewis Hall and a blank from Gordon was disappointing. It is actually a bit annoying. I watched a lot of games in game week 22. I watched the Newcastle game and the Chelsea game. A bit annoying that the likes of Trippier and Reece James is back, because it was like Lewis Hall and Gordon, they were taking all set pieces for Newcastle, but after Trippier came back, he takes the responsibility for most of their set pieces close to goal. And same goes for Chelsea. Actually, Reece James taking corners and free kicks close to goal. These are like free kicks that Cole Palmer and Lewis Hall and Gordon have been taken recently. I think actually that it dents their appeal a little bit. But hopefully they can deliver, even though they're not taking as many set pieces as they have done. Alexander Isak is definitely still on penalties as long as Wilson is out, and the same goes for Cole Palmer. Can't really see Cole Palmer not taking penalties considering his record for Chelsea. So are you going for a Liverpool triple this game week or next game week? Of course, most of us have Mo Salah already. I think Trent is a decent option. He will probably start those games. Gakpo, of course, we can't be sure that he will start both games in the double and the Ipswich games, but I think that it was really promising for Gakpo owners that he was rested in the Champions League. And this is, I don't normally do early transfers, but I did the Gakpo move on Wednesday, so 2 days ago, and this was mostly due to the fact that he got rested in the Champions League on Tuesday. Another deciding factor was that I actually had to make the transfer this early to afford it, so at the moment I only have 0.1 in the bank. Just mention I had to sell Kirkis to afford Trent. Preferably would have sold Masraoui, but I could not afford Masraoui to Trent after doing Havertz to Gakpo. I have Salah, Diaz, Gakpo, but Darwin will ruin my week. Yeah, so Gakpo for me because the easiest player for me to sell at the moment was Kai Havertz. He is a bit frustrating in FPL, not on set pieces, missing so many chances, kind of reminds me of Jackson at times. But as mentioned earlier, I actually think that Havertz will do well, but hopefully I will not regret selling him. But if I had a midfielder that I wanted to remove, then I would probably have those three. Excuse me, I would probably have Diaz as well. I think that Diaz is a decent option. I know that he was heavily sold in game week 21. Couldn't really see the reason for managers to get rid of Diaz. He was the most transferred out player in game week 20 and 21, I think. That was kind of strange considering that we knew that they had a really good fixture this game week and a double coming up. I know that a lot of managers are not that engaged, and for most casual FPL managers, they didn't know that the Liverpool double game week was coming, of course. I like this double, to be honest. Salah, Diaz, Gakpo really attacking. But as you say, Darwin, he is actually the bookie's favorite. Salah is the favorite, but Darwin is second when it comes to expected anytime goal scorer in game week 23. Will probably start. I have a feeling that Darwin can do well next game week. He will ruin your week. Let's have a quick look at his ownership at the moment. Only selected by 2% of the managers. So it's not like Darwin Núñez will hurt our ranks, but of course, if you have considered bringing Darwin in but went for someone else, another Liverpool asset, that will probably hurt a bit. But Darwin Núñez, 11 points in game week 22, only selected by 2.1% of the managers at the moment. Big differential. So if I wanted another differential from Liverpool, I would probably consider Szoboszlai. Not that I really fancy him as an FPL option, but considering the fixtures and the fact that they have a double game week next game week. I think that Soboslai is decent as well. Would Palmer Rogers start 2? Thanks for joining in, Michael. Kind of a tough decision. I talked about this earlier. I would not bench Cole Palmer this game week, to be honest. Man City, they are struggling with injuries. I think that there will be some goals in that fixture. Cole Palmer, we know what he can do. He is on penalties as well. So Rodgers he probably has the best fixture, but Wood, he is on fire at the moment, on penalties, nailed on. So I would probably start Chris Wood and Cole Palmer, and Rodgers would be the one on my bench. I know that it's tempting to play Rodgers, of course, but if those are your main options for your bench, then I would say that Rodgers probably should be the one missing out for your team. It's not like Chris Wood has a really good fixture. Playing away against Bournemouth is a really tough fixture these days, but when we consider Nottingham Forest and their form and the fact that Chris Wood is on penalties, I think that it's probably a good idea to start him if you have him. And the same goes for Cole Palmer. So this means that for me it makes more sense to bench Rodgers, even though he has a really good fixture against West Ham. Ahead of this game week, I've seen a lot of benching dilemmas over at X. There are a lot of managers with 12, 13 really, really good players at the moment. Has these benching headaches every game week, especially when we consider Rodgers and his form and the fact that he actually is a really, really good player. There is a kind of risk involved in benching Rodgers every game week. He did well in some of the tough fixtures as well. Watched the game when Aston Villa played against Man City. Can't really remember which game week it was. Was it 19, 20, something like that? Rodgers, he looked really, really good in that game. But as mentioned, Wood and Palmer should probably be the ones starting. Wood is once again one of the most transferred in players. 264,000 transfers in for Chris Wood. Last game week, he was the most transferred in player. Thoughts on Gordon to Mbumo after the deadline? Kind of depends on how Gordon does in game week 23, to be honest. If he blanks once again against Southampton, I would be tempted to let him go. Newcastle's fixtures are getting a bit tougher for the next game weeks. So they have Fulham in game week 24, and then they have Man City in game week 25. Nottingham Forest at home, which on paper looks like a really good fixture, but we know that Nottingham Forest actually are really good. And then they have Liverpool away in game week 27. So mixed fixtures for Newcastle, as mentioned. I would be really tempted to bring in Mbumo. So Gordon to Mbumo after the deadline. I would wait as long as possible, of course, and if Gordon blanks, then I'll probably say yes. Thoughts on Isak, captain? When I started this stream, Alexander Isak, he was actually my captain. Let's take a quick look at the captain. Salah, he is 88%. Isak is 12, so Salah is the favorite in the poll. I'm really tempted by Isak, to be honest. I started the stream with Isak as my captain. I can show some stats on Southampton. These are the defensive stats from Southampton, and the reason why I'm still a bit tempted to go for Isak. Southampton, they have terrible stats, but just talked about Newcastle and Isak. I actually think that he was a bit lucky in game week 20 when he scored that goal. He was my captain that game week, so I was really grateful that it went in, but he hardly touched the ball. Didn't really have a good game in game week 20. I think that his goal in game week 21 was a bit lucky as well. Deflected shot going in. So I know that he scored in 7, or was it 8 consecutive game weeks, and was getting a lot of praise. But I actually don't think that when we consider the eye test that Isak looked that good in the last couple of game weeks, to be honest. So this is the reason why I went Cole Palmer last game week, and also the reason why I probably will go Mo Salah for game week 23. But as mentioned, when we take a look at those stats on the screen, there could be a lot of goals in this match. I also read the comments on today's press conference from Eddie, how he was really clear that they were focused and that they really wanted to put up a better performance than against Bournemouth last game week. So I think that we will see a good performance from Newcastle, and at the moment I think that having Lewis Hall, Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak probably is enough for this fixture. So I'm leaning towards Mo Salah. This is the stats for Mo Salah, Liverpool against Ipswich. Not as good as Southampton. You can see that Ipswich, they are a bit better, but at the same time Ipswich, they are also one of the worst teams. So they have conceded 10 goals and they have an expected goals conceded of 8.06. So yeah, that's not great. I know that Mo Salah has done really well playing away, but I think that in game week 23 I will probably back the home fixture, give the captain's armband to Mo Salah. I have triple Liverpool, so I feel like if Liverpool smash Ipswich, I'm covered, which is why I'm going. Yeah, this is like what I mentioned with Newcastle. For me, I think that having triple Newcastle is more of a differential than having triple Liverpool. It's probably really close though, considering that the ownership of the Newcastle assets have really gone up recently, so it's probably pretty close. The thing is, normally I don't actually like triple ups. I'm trying to avoid having too many triple ups, but my transfers this game week was actually to bring in 2 new Liverpool players to triple up on them as well. So I have 2 triple ups at the moment, 6 players from 2 teams. But for me and my chip strategy going forward, it makes sense to have a lot of players from those teams. I will probably bring in another Crystal Palace player as well. And if the results go as planned in the EFL Cup, I'll probably try to bring in an Aston Villa asset as well. So it's like Newcastle and Liverpool, if they beat Arsenal and Spurs in the EFL Cup, they will have a blank in game week 29, and those postponed games in blank game week 29 will be played in game week 33. So same players that blank in blank game week 29 will also have a double in double game week 33. You have 2 triple ups. I just mentioned I don't really like triple ups, but here I am with 2 triple ups, 6 players from 2 teams. And as mentioned, one of the reasons why I'm tripling up, bringing in players from those teams, is because of my chip strategy. And it will give me a lot of double game week players in double game week 33. So I know that they will blank in blank game week 29, but I will most probably play my free hit chip in blank game week 29, so I will get my Newcastle Liverpool players back for game week 30. Will probably play the assistant manager chip in game week 31. I currently have 8 players that might blank in game week 29 and no ships left. Ooh, so you will have to pray for some upsets in the cup. 8 players, so we will know for sure before game week 25 which teams will have a blank. So after the double game week, the cup games will be played. Or is it game week 26? It must be game week 26 because, of course, Liverpool, they will play midweek after the game week 24 deadline. So before game week 26, we will know for sure which teams will have a blank. But if you don't have your free hit, you probably have to start planning on selling some of your Liverpool and Newcastle players, before game week 29. As mentioned, I will keep them in my team, use my free hit to get them out when they blank, and then I will have them back and ready for double game week 33. At the same time, I will use my free transfers to transfer out those other players that will not have a double in game week 23 but will have a blank in game week 34. So there will be a lot of planning, and I think that setting your chip strategy early this season could be really valuable. So there will be a double game week in game week 33 because of the EFL Cup, and there will be a blank game week the game week after because of the semifinals in the FA Cup. So I will sell those players that will blank in blank game week 34 and use my free transfers on getting rid of them, and I will play my wildcard in game week 35 to get those players back because they will have a double game week in game week 36. I actually made a video on the blanks and doubles and chip strategy, so if you're interested and haven't watched it already, go check that out. It's on my channel. I think it's probably in the description as well, so if you find the time, go watch it. Put it on repeat when you're going to sleep to help me get my watch time minutes up. 8 players, that's a lot. I think that it's probably 3 players from Newcastle, 3 from Liverpool, that's 6. And if you have 1 player from Villa, 1 player from Crystal Palace, that's 8. So I think that probably a lot of managers are in the same position as you, FPL FOMO, when it comes to blank game week 29. It's not confirmed yet, so I think that a lot will get surprised about those fixtures. And it's not like it's 100% sure that Newcastle, Liverpool, Villa and Crystal Palace will blank either, but these are the most likely outcome from the EFL Cup semifinals. We know that Newcastle, they are already 2-0 up against Arsenal. Spurs are actually leading. They won their game against Liverpool 1-0, but this was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and the second leg will be played at Anfield, so I think that Liverpool probably will get through to the final if they really want. I have 3 Newcastle, 3 Liverpool, 2 Palace and 2 Villa. So that's like almost all of your starting 11 from those 4 teams. So you don't have 8 players that might blank, you actually have 10 players that might blank. You might want to start using your free transfers after this game week. At least you're well set for double game week 24 with a triple Liverpool already. I'll take a minus 44. When it comes to double game weeks and blanks, it's probably a couple of the best seasons I've had and my best ranks. I actually took quite a lot of hits those seasons, especially one of them. I think that I got a 900 rank that season, and in every blank game week I thought like treated every blank game week that a hit was a -2. So this probably goes for you as well in blank game week 29. If you can't field 11 players, then every hit you take is basically a -2 instead of a -4. So I should have 5 free transfers by game week 25. If you have 5 free transfers by game week 25, then you're probably in a good position, to be honest, and start offloading some of the players that will blank and bring in the likes of Mbumo. I think that Brentford probably is a really good team to target if you don't have your free hits. They have good fixtures and will play in blank game week 29, so I would look at the possibilities to bring in both Visa and Mbumo. So this is my team. I will probably captain Mo Salah. Will sleep on it, but it was 60-40 for Salah, closer to 70-30. So Mo Salah captain, Alexander Isak vice captain. I will do a deadline stream tomorrow, a couple of hours before the deadline. So if you find the time, please join in on that one as well. Would be really appreciated. FPL FOMO Gordon 2 and Bumo in 25 is likely for me. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially considering that you don't have your free hits. The thing is with Mbumo, his ownership is that high. So bringing Mbumo in feels like kind of a differential because there are a lot of active managers that don't own him, but he is at the same time like a shield pick that protects your rank. But I definitely think that bringing in Mbumo from game week 29 and between game week 28 probably is the best thing to do, considering the fixtures and the fact that he is nailed on and on penalties. So what's not to like? Mbumo probably is close to being the perfect FPL asset on all set pieces and penalties, good price, good fixtures. So Mbumo will be on my watch list as well. Actually have him on my watch list on the graphics in the right hand corner. Mbumo, Luis Diaz, the two midfielders I would consider bringing in. Safety pick for me as I'm happy with my rank. Yeah, definitely a really good option, especially if you're satisfied with your rank and your position in your mini leagues. Mbumo, Diaz, Gordon, decent transfers in. I would consider selling Gordon in a couple of game weeks to bring in Mbumo, definitely. So my watch list is kind of colored by the double game week. So when it comes to forwards, I have Gakpo first, Mateta and Vissa. So both Mbumo and Vissa are actually on my watch list, as you can see on the screen. The defense, I have Trent and Van Dijk. I know that Konate is really good value, 5.2, is it 5.1, 5.2, can't really remember, but really good value for a Liverpool defender. But after Slot's recent comments about his fitness, I would actually prefer spending a bit more to upgrade to Trent, and if you can't afford it, I think Van Dijk would be my second Liverpool defender. Liverpool, they are also at the same time the bookies' favorites to keep a clean sheet. So if you want a defender from Liverpool for double game week 24, I would consider just bringing in the defender for this game week and take advantage of the good game against Ipswich. So thanks all for joining in. If you don't have the time to join the live stream tomorrow, I wish you the best of luck for game week 23, and hopefully we'll get green arrows. Mo Salah looks likely to be my captain. I've already made 2 transfers, so no more transfers for me. If I did a 3rd transfer, it would be Masraoui to Mikolenko, but nothing other than that. But as mentioned, thanks for joining in and good luck this game week.